Thank you for joining us over here at SCG Live, the start of what looks to be a great top 8 on what you'd call the Bant Company Farewell Tour. It's our last standard open here before rotation sends the 4-mana instant off into the sunset of Modern.
Yeah, this is the last event, and Ted Felicetti, our last Bant Company player in the tournament.
He's going to have to defeat Cedric Phillips of SCG Live, and we are underway. Cedric starts on the Envoy. Ted Felicetti mulligan to 6 on the draw here. So some work that he's going to have to do takes 2 off the Envoy.
Realistically, the fact that he knows the matchup, it's likely that that mulligan could have been something that was a totally passable hand, but knowing the matchup, he was informed to mulligan.
Cedric triple 1-drops. Now Kythian, Anointer, and Envoy as Ted makes his first play in Dustwatch Recruiter. Thalia's Lieutenant is going to be pretty good for Cedric. He pumps the team. And this actually, in conjunction with the Anointer, leaves Ted with no blocks.
Yep. Cedric could have gotten aggressive and forced a trade between the Kythian and the Duskwatch Recruiter, but this one just leverages his position. He doesn't really care about the Recruiter.
Felicetti just a land, drops to 11, flips it. If only 2 creatures attacked that turn. Anointer was activated. The judge confirming that that's indeed what happened, but it was. Duskwatch flips. There is a Dromoka's Command in Felicetti's hand. Declaration in Stone from Cedric. It's just a powerhouse of a start. Ted saying, no, just wait. 1/1 counter and a fight. He's not just going to get turned forward like that.
No.
Cedric's got to at least wait until turn 5. The Kythian goes down. The swing's still pretty large here, though. 6 damage sends Ted to 5.
Still not a great position for Felicetti, but now if he has another untapped mana source on his turn, he's in Collected Company territory.
Yeah, could come into some Reflector Mages. And I mean, against a start like this, right? Triple 1-drop into Lieutenant into Declaration Stone. Ted at least is playing Magic.
And looking at Ted's hand, it looks like he both has a tapped land for his 4th mana source and no Collected Company in hand.
So can't do the play you were talking about. The question is, can he do any play? Something that maybe wins in the game. Here's the untapped land, but he'll play Tireless Tracker. Play and fetch with an Evolving Wild. Cedric says, hey, I got this Declaration in Stone, and they're going to be on to the second game. On the play, Cedric's draw pretty great, runs him out of the room.
Cedric not wasting any time, just shows him that one. Hey, your mana's tapped, face up, I'm going to get you.
In this matchup, that kind of draw. On the play, triple 1-drop, Lieutenant, 2 declarations. It feels just, it's one of those ones you kind of just accept you're going to lose to.
Unbeatable is strong. If there were a Collected Company, it could have been a different game, but that start is very taxing. It forces specific things out of Felicetti.
Yeah, he had a 2-drop and a Dromoka's Command, and he would have had to have the Company too, and even then we're not sure he wins. It's a lot of work.
Well, the Company has to hit. Sometimes you just get 0 creatures.
Let's look at the sideboards. We're going to start with Cedric Phillips. The simplest of sideboards here. He's got 3 4-ofs, 2 Silk Wraps, and a Plains.
So theoretically, Cedric could bring in all 15 cards here. Planeswalkers give you a way to keep up on creatures if you decide you want to play that fight in this matchup. Archangel of Ties is a flyer, which matters a lot against Collected Company. You can attack their attackers and the blockers. This matchup's going to go wide. The Militia Captain makes sense, and Silk Wrap helps you slow them down. He could literally shuffle all 15 into his deck.
And pretty easy. On Ted Felicetti's side, you know, these Bant decks, well, basically mono white always loses points after sideboard. It's a bunch of planes. But on Ted's side, he's actually got a lot of tools for the matchup.
Yeah. 2 copies of Dromoka's Command, 2 Gideon Allies Zendikar, 2 Clash of Wills, 2 Tragic Arrogance, 2 Noose Constrictor, a Tireless Tracker, an Ojutai's Command, an Archangel Avacyn, and a Summary Dismissal, and a Tameo Field Researcher. And realistically, the majority of Ted's sideboard actually plays here as well. The counter spells aren't going to make any sense here. But the Dromoka's Command to deal with the enchantments out of Cedric, specifically always watching, that's going to matter. You can have the Gideon if you're able to pull ahead a little bit of humans. This can really slam the door. Tragic Arrogance, of course, the best card in the sideboard. You can catch up from any kind of board position. Cedric has it face up, so he knows only to play into it if he really has to. Noose Constrictors as early blockers, they're great. Archangel Avacyn is a little slow. I could see it coming in, though.
Yeah, it's a little slow. It's a 4/4 for 5. It depends how much room he has, right? I think he just wants to lower his curve.
It also just makes more sense on the play than the draw. On the draw, it's probably just too slow in general.
Well, he will be on the play this game. Players, very short order getting ready for game 2. Remember, we said this was the last open with Dragons of Tarkir and Magic Origins, and that's because Kaladesh is just around the corner, which means you have a pre-release around the corner. Coming up, this one's in 3 weeks. It's the Kaladesh pre-release. You'll get to play with the new sets, all these spoilers coming out this weekend. I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited about these new cards, and of course, I'm excited about more Star City Games playmats featuring cats. I don't really care how you get them there. I just want to have as many of them as possible. So here you see the Bengali Rye playmat, which we'll be giving away at pre-releases both in Roanoke and at stores around the country. This limited edition playmat is available at participating stores. You can register today for it, or you can find a store that's hosting one at starcitygames.com/pre-release.
Gorgeous playmat. I really love the Kaladesh style art.
Now, on our backup feature match, we have Frank Scarron battling against Shaheen Surani. That one actually also finishing game 1. Some slight stumbles for Shaheen, makes a quick game, and we have Frank Scarron. He was on 9-0 from yesterday. He's up a game.
There's one thing about Shaheen's deck versus Scarron. Scarron will often intentionally miss land drops, so he can discard the cards. With Shaheen's deck, he needs to hit all his lands drop.
Yeah, and on time as well. His cards are very good, but they're all these efficiency cards, right? There's no big power swing on any of them. So it's like he incrementally gets farther ahead as he plays each card. It's not like these Emerge decks where they make one play that's a 5-for-1.
Sure.
Other results, Noah Walker taking game 1 over Todd Anderson. So we have that one there.
That must have been a Deep Fiend game if it's over this quickly. I heard that Jacob Hagan won the first game over Gavin.
Yeah, Crush of Tentacles is going to do some crushing.
And
it's up a game.
Yeah, I find it very hard to imagine the green-black deck is taking very many of the game 1s in that match. Most of it is going to come down to the transgresses out of the sideboard.
So we go back here. Ted and Cedric settling in for game 2. Game 1 was such a fast one. Ted hoping to extend it a couple more turns this time.
Or, win on turn 4 or 5 himself. I'm sure he'd accept that.
I mean, right, for Ted's deck, if he just does something like Mage into Company into Mage and something else, right, he also has some scary good draws.
Right. Lead on an Advocate on turn 2, get into a Reflector Mage.
Both players on 6 cards. For Ted, he starts on Prairie Stream, and a huge sigh of relief for Ted Felicetti. Cedric starting on Plains, no play.
Well, this is telling about Cedric's Game 2 configuration. Likely has a lot of 4-drops in his deck, and as you can see, Declaration in Stone in his hand.
Ted can see too. Cedric goes to play Militia Captain, plays the wrong card. It says, yeah, can't do that one. Hold on, plays the Militia Captain. And for Ted, he gets another Plains here, so not actually getting his 3rd color. I have a tell here that I wanna ask. There are not very many double white cards in Ted's deck. If he's searching for this, I would think not only does he have a green source, but there's only one double white card. There's 2 double white cards, right? Avacyn and Tragic Arrogance.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way Cedric's putting him on not having that in his deck, but this suggests that it could be in his hand. It reveals the Plains there after fetching Plains as well.
Plays Reflector Mage, puts that card back in Cedric's hand. So just check. It's such a tell, right? Does Cedric change his gameplay now?
I think he plays the same way that he would be playing this match. Never playing the Tragic Arrogance if you don't have to.
Always watching from Cedric. From Ted, it's Noose Constrictor, land 4, passes. Cedric's supposed to be one with creatures in play, not playing out that way.
Cedric really wants to get to 4 mana. I imagine that he has all Archangel of Ties and probably some number of Gideons in as well.
Knight of the White Orchid for Cedric. Gets himself a bonus land. So Ted's remaining cards are Land, Reflector Mage, Tragic Arrogance. You see, Cedric makes the Militia Captain and passes. This may be one of those strange games where mono white, through its sideboard plan, actually starts to look like a control deck.
And that is another thing about having the 4-drops that gives Cedric some leverage against Tragic Arrogance. He doesn't have to, nor does he have the mana to, dump all of his stuff on the table. And the thing about always watching plus Militia Captain, sure, it has more value when he goes wide, but the 3/3 is just bigger than what Ted's up to.
A swing, he bounces the Militia Captain. He's going to swing with the Noose Constrictor. Cedric could block, and it would trade with 2 cards in Felicetti's hand.
That's very tempting.
Yeah, he's thinking about it, too.
I'd jump on that.
3/3 first strike. Yeah, show me 2 cards if you want to keep your creature.
It's only 1 mana up. There's no way a Dromoka's Command is going to do anything about this.
I'm not sure Ted was expecting this block. He discards land Sylvan Advocate and says go.
Now his last card, Tragic Arrogance, and he needs to find a land to ever cast it. Not that it looks great on this table. He's well ahead on the board.
So it's pretty clear he's going to discard the land. Tragic Arrogance or Sylvan Advocate, that was actually a bit of a decision from Ted. Advocate's pretty good here. It becomes a 4/5.
And Ted is playing with Cedric's sideboard face up, so he's likely deduced by now that Archangel Attais and possibly Gideon are what Cedric is up to.
Cedric, Thraben Inspector, Thalia's Lieutenant. I mean, Cedric's creatures are just bigger right now. He is definitely the control deck.
Got 3/4 Thraben Inspector. That's the biggest thing on the table.
Ted passes the turn, draws Spell Queller.
And the Noose Constrictor loses a lot of its appeal in combat after you have to discard for 1 combat.
Right, yeah, Always Watching is really outclassing that. There's always this danger when you play against mono white. If you board in too many cards that are bad alone but good against mono white, and then mono white does a bait and switch where they board out their 1-drops for their heavy creatures, you can screw up your own deck.
Yeah.
Declaration Stone on the pair of Reflector Mages. Cedric's ready to get aggressive here. And I like this. So Ted could have Spell Quelled at the Declaration, but he didn't. Actually wanted to change his Reflector Mages perhaps into cards.
Yeah, he's got nothing left in his hand. Cards in hand, even if he's just discarding them in a Noose Constructor, they're doing something. He's not engaging in combat favorably, though double blocking with Reflector Mage is significant on this board.
Yeah, he made the play so quickly, and he thought about it, like, man, that's actually a crazy play on Ted's part. You know, he just snapped it off. But
yeah, and he does still have the Tragic Arrogance in hand. So if he's able to draw a land, and the clue will help him do that. Now, if I'm Cedric, I really don't want to cast more creatures after something like that happens.
Hanvir Militia Captain, counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. Cedric's going to go ahead and do it, though. 3 creatures. Ted's going to go investigating.
And there was a forest.
Yep. Another card. Tireless Tracker. I really like what Ted just did here.
Yeah. No reason to fight over that declaration because he has a way to get back on the board. He just got value.
He has Dromoka's Command now. That's great. I mean, I was worried about Ted's ability to actually be the control deck. But you know what? I'm not anymore. I think Ted has his control role back, and it's thanks to that declaration.
Yeah, he caught right back up. And interestingly, he plays to the board on this turn. He thinks he can get more value out of the Tragic Arrogance.
I love
and
it.
Cedric did demonstrate that he's going to play into it. He did play the Militia Captain.
Well, right, Ted's spinning some wheels. Tireless Tracker, get a clue, leave up Dromoka's Command. He's going to run Cedric out of cards, and it's going to work.
Yeah, this is actually really well played by Felicetti here.
The other thing is with that Spell Queller play, if you're going to sell it and you're going to play it that way, you have about 1 second to physically make that move before a player like Cedric will key in on what's happening. And if I'm in Cedric's spot, I did not read Ted for Spell Queller there. He binned the creatures way too fast.
And if you rewind a little bit as well, the double discard in the Noose Constrictor, that was a sign of desperation as well.
Really well played. Cedric's going to crack his clue. He still has 4 cards in his hand of his own, so don't count him out just yet.
Cedric has to decide, does he want to commit a 4th creature to really engage in that Militia Captain?
He's just feeding the cards to Ted if he does, but Cedric doesn't know it. Ted's play of untap, keep his Tireless Tracker, lose Noose Constrictor, sweep away Cedric's things is really good. Here's a second Militia Captain. Cedric just going straight into this Tragic Arrogance, and he's going to pay for it. The clue is cracked by Ted. Gets a counter on the tracker, draws a card, and he strung him along, and now it's just, yeah, Tragic Arrogance. Boom. Ted keeps the tracker, keeps the clue. Cedric keeps an Always Watching and probably Thraben Inspector. Yeah, and that's it. Loses 2 captains and a Thalia's Lieutenant. This is a massive swing for Ted Felicetti.
Yeah.
Actually, he's going to leave. This I like this. He's going to leave Cedric with a Militia Captain.
Yeah, it's just a 3/3. Gonna have to cast some more creatures to make that one matter.
Passes. Yeah, it's like Sure, this card doesn't really matter once you sweep their board, right?
Cedric does have a few cards in hand left, though.
Yeah, Knight of the White Orchid. Land.
And Felicetti is tapped down off of that Spell Queller for now.
Yeah, he does have a Dermoka's Command. Say if Cedric plays 3 more creatures, the Militia Captain won't flip.
Two-headed giant team, Roderick, please come to second stage for your prize. Again, it's two-headed
Tireless
giant
Tracker
team,
is a
Roderick,
4-3 right now, and there's a 1 clue uncracked on the board for Ted. Militia Captain swings for 3, Ted goes to 14. Will Cedric keep playing to the board? You feel like he's got to. That tracker is just going to keep being so good. Here's Archangel of Tithes, though, for Cedric. Some of the big sideboard cards.
With the tracker hanging out for Felicetti, though, that's the creature he can make large enough to Dromoka's Command down the Archangel.
Yeah, land, second clue for Ted. His hand, Dromoka's Command, Selfless Spirit, and Spell Queller. Some pretty good stuff, especially when you consider Cedric's got the enchantment. Ted, so what is he? He has a line of crack a clue, make his guy a 5/4. Fight the angel, kill the always watching.
Yep.
Leave up Spell Queller.
Pretty good.
I'm into all of these things.
Yeah, everything about all of that seems great. Yeah, so on Dromoka's Command, you resolve it from top to bottom. So sacrifice an enchantment is the primary mode. So if you go for sack an enchantment, fight.
So first, so the Archangel would be a 3/5 by the time they fought, and
So
then Tracker would win.
Exactly, it wouldn't be able to deal lethal damage.
Okay, so great play then for Ted. He can just, with one Dromoka's Command, he could kill the Archangel. He's going to crack another clue for the Tracker. Draws Nissa Vastwood Seer. I mean, he's just got tons of tools right now. I'll admit, that's an interaction I wasn't even sure of myself. You see, now Ted's going to fight it down. Perhaps Ted wasn't sure either. He's going to do that line, fight and sack an enchantment. Has to take down Spell Queller with the way he played it.
Right.
It's pretty strange. And we see Cedric is going to go aggressive. Here's Declaration Stone, another always watching. Swing 6, Ted's at 8.
And since Ted had to tap off that Spell Queller, it looks like that really cost him.
Nissa Vastwood Seer, but he's got a lot of cards to recover with. Cedric 1 card in hand, Ted many. So play Nissa, get a forest, play a forest, flip Nissa. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah, then his position is still great. What the Humans deck is, though, it's very scrappy. Yeah, you never feel like it that the mono white deck can get in those last 8 points, but depending on how Cedric draws, sometimes it makes it look easy.
Ted not actually going to play the forest, he's going to play his Fortified Village, showing the forest, but gets the Sage Animist, which was the point anyway. Pluses it, showing Archangel Avacyn in his hand.
Not bad.
Sheesh. Tameo Field Researcher taps Cedric's things. 2 Planeswalkers go. I'm in.
Yeah.
He gets to untap with Spell Queller and Avacyn. Cedric will play another Militia Captain.
Now, Cedric had a 4th creature to commit. This would look really great. For now, looks like he's back to being behind.
Yeah, he does still have a chance, though, right? Because none of Ted's removal actually gets rid of creatures. So if Cedric draws one more creature.
Well, hold the phone. Ted has Avacyn and Selfless Spirit in hand.
Oh, no. Oh, I see.
This is another combo.
Selfless Spirit, Avacyn. Sacrifice Selfless Spirit. Avacyn doesn't like it when other creatures die.
Nope.
Yeah, plus targeting Avacyn and something else. Now on upkeep, Avacyn's going to get angry. She's going to sweep away the creatures and the lands and everything. We're on to game 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Avacyn, sure. It's pretty expensive, but it is an extremely high impact card when you get it to work.
And this is a player. I'm going to go back to this Ted Felicetti player. I will admit, I didn't know who he was until 2 weeks ago, until he was 8-0 at the Invitational. You got to watch this guy now.
Yeah.
That game was well played. I think there's one small error, which is a really weird rules interaction. That's, you know, and it was wrong, but that's strange.
The equity lost by that error is much smaller than the equity gained by his technical play in the earlier game.
You can teach someone the rules, and then they learn them. But teaching someone how to pivot strategy like Ted just did, that takes players years to learn.
Yes. Many spend years and don't learn it.
So Ted evens it up at 1 game apiece. Now he and Cedric are going to head for the decider. Ted's going to be back on the draw.
And even though Ted had the sideboard face up, it wasn't necessarily clear what Cedric was doing. Now he has a better idea. When Cedric is keeping hands with no 1-drops, and you saw the Archangel of Ties, you have a pretty good idea that he's heavy on those 4 drops. So we can inform that a little bit. Also, just being on the draw is different than being on the play.
All right. So players going to get ready for Game 3. This is the beginning of Season 3 here on the SCG Tour. You know that Ted had that great finish at the Invitational. He's going to make a run at Season 3. But you too can make a run at Season 3 as we now have the entire Open. All the Opens on the Tour are now announced for the season. So we have a Standard and Modern Open every month. So in September, on the East Coast, we'll be making our way for this Standard Open in Richmond and a Modern one in Orlando. Next month, we'll be in the middle of the country, Standard Open in Indianapolis, break for the regional championships, and then at the end of the month, a Modern Open in Milwaukee. As we finish up the season in November, we'll start heading back east. We'll have the Standard Open in Knoxville on the 20th, the Modern Open in Columbus on the 12th, and we have, of course, the season's Legacy Open. We have one of these every season. It's going to be in Baltimore, November 5th and 6th, so dust off your old cards for that one. You know that it's going to be a great tournament. And finally, we end the season with our Season 3 Invitational in Atlanta, December 2nd and 4th. Now, keep in mind, this is a couple weeks earlier than we've had it in past years, so if you're planning your travel now and you've gotten your qualification, make sure to put that one on the calendar. Now, as we announce the schedule, we also announce our playmats for the season. And this is something we started last season. You can get up to 3 different playmats here on the tour in Season 3. Depends on the event you enter. For any Standard Open or Standard Classic, we're giving away a playmat with the Art of Dark Salvation, the XX spell from Eldritch Moon. See Liliana and her horde of zombies. If you could play a Modern event, you'll get the Modern staple of Steel Overseer, the mainstay 2-drop. In the Affinity deck, he'll be on that for all those competitors. And for our Legacy players, both in Opens and Classics, it is Sensei's Divining Top, the 4 of probably the best card in Miracles. You get these with entrance. This is the Eternal Master's art of Sensei's Divining Top, in case you were wondering, hey, that doesn't look like the ones I have at home.
Or for a lot of you, maybe it does look just like the ones you have at home, and you're not sure what Matthias is talking about. This card was originally printed in a set called Champions of Kamigawa.
Game 3 underway. Cedric starts on the Gossip Monger, and it will get a friend. It's going to be the Militia Captain. The pair of flip white creatures. For Felicetti, he'll play Duskwatch Recruiter. Cedric's going to go ahead and turn his guy. He'll incite them into a rabble as he goes for his 3rd turn.
And this looks a lot different from Cedric's Game 2 start.
This deck's scary when you're on the draw. You always just keep thinking, oh, please don't have this card. Please don't have this other card. Just don't.
Don't have
Don't
third
kill my
land.
stuff. Don't kill any of my things. Griff's Boon on the Militia Captain. Here's a big swing for 5.
And we haven't seen a Griff's Boon out of Cedric so far in the match, and it's one of his best cards here, because he can just fly right over with that Militia Captain.
Thraben Inspector, clue, but no land for Cedric. We're back to Felicetti. Draws a Sylvan Advocate. He's got a lot of plays. He has Advocate, Spell Queller. He plays a Evolving Wilds and flips his Werewolf into a 3/3.
Hey, he has Spell Queller mana up here.
Oh, yeah, because it costs less.
Also representing Dromoka's Command.
I like that. I like how you can flip your guy and play a tap land to this. The deck's mana is not so perfect that sometimes on turn 3 you also have to tap land. Cedric's going to go for a Declaration. Yeah, no.
And the attitude is coming out.
So Ted, when I want Ted to pick up that clue and chuck it right back at Cedric. Okay, let's just be clear. So he spell quells away the Declaration in stone. No.
Now Cedric has some options here. If he has a 1-mana creature, he can build his board up to 4 to flip the Militia Captain. He could just attack into the Spell Queller, which would give him the Declaration back. Assuming Felicetti even blocks. The thing is, the Rabble has to attack, and that's bad.
Oh, it's just a 2/3.
That's just running into the Recruiter.
Yeah, Ted takes the free block. Cedric's creature down. Ted takes 3 more, but he's at 12. Ooh, this is looking bad for Cedric. Ted's going to play Fortified Village, shows a forest, swings Spell Queller for 3. If Ted's attacking, then he's feeling real confident. Passes the turn. That ramp off the Howler, yeah?
Yeah, there's a 5-mana Angel that you can cast off of 4 lands.
I got even worse news if you're in Cedric Phillips' camp here. He's also got a Selfless Spirit in play. I recall a certain interaction last game really mattering.
Ruh-roh.
Cedric cracks the clue. He wants some more action. I guess it's not. Yeah, he just passes, and Ted flashes Avacyn into play.
Yeah, Cedric's seen this one before.
This isn't how he drew it up.
Apparently, he hadn't seen Spell Queller before.
For Ted, he just keeps building the board. You see Nissa in hand. He'll play the 2/2. This is one of the last chances of Nissa actually in Standard. She's another one of those Origins cards.
And Ted could have aggressively gone from the Selfless Spirit line, but it wouldn't make any sense on this board because you would just be giving the Declaration back and only killing 2 of Cedric's creatures.
I mean, he's got better creatures now. He doesn't need to sweep the board. He can just win.
Yeah, exactly.
So he'll get a forest. Remember, he's playing everything at a discount thanks to that Howler.
Yeah, and he doesn't really want to attack with the Howler because that would flip his Avacyn.
Duskwatch Recruiter. 4 mana off the Howler. Now he's just showing off. So that turned out 2 mana Nissa, an Advocate, a Recruiter, a Selfless Spirit.
Actually, I correct my statement. Because he's casting Selfless Spirit, he does want to trade that Howler because he'll just sacrifice the Spirit on Cedric's turn.
So wait, isn't there's? Oh yeah, if he trades it. Oh.
Yeah.
So if he loses any creatures, then it'll flip. But Avacyn won't kill Ted's things because they'll be indestructible. And then oh goodness, Knight of the White Orchid for Cedric. He could be dead next turn. He's down to 11 on that attack. This is.
Well, he also doesn't have tools to claw back into games like this. Felicetti is our Tragic Arrogance player in this matchup.
And plays Hanvir Militia Captain. I mean, that's just it, right? Ted, that flipped Duskwatch Recruiter, made 4 additional mana. When on turn 5, he had played 9 mana worth of things.
Yeah.
So yes, Cedric plays 1-drops. So does Ted. Tameo Field Researcher. Bant Company just showing off. Land. Cedric might just be dead on this attack.
Well, now he gets to tap down the flyer so he can just rumble in with the Avacyn and the Spirit, which is free.
All right.
And then that's just a 2-turn clock.
He attacks with Spirit.
Attack with some other stuff.
Flyer. So we have 8 power in the air.
Right, the Queller can attack to us now.
Ground. Yeah, he's going to swing everything. So if Cedric blocks the biggest stuff on the ground, he gets 4, 6, and Ted's showing him, yeah, you block my 2 biggest things. I have 6, 8 in the air. That's 12 in unblocked creatures.
Yeah.
Game, match, Ted Felicetti, Bant Company taking the match.
Yeah, that was not a close game. Not remotely.
Bant's great, Ted's great. He's on to the semis.
Some question as to whether or not Cedric could have leveraged the Declaration in Stone better. He did get Spell Quellered very badly, but his other option, I suppose if he just attacks with the Rabble and leaves up to the pumping, he doesn't just throw that away. So maybe there's something there, but Felicetti just overwhelmed him after that happened. So I don't even know if he was really in that game.